So as I've gotten older, you get more and more like your parents, your father, your whatever. I find myself talking more about the weather. 70 hit 70 here, and I did rain today in Pittsburgh, which is pretty normal for us. But it did hit 70, so I wasn't going to complain about too much. You know what I mean? The weather's kind of nice, but I started thinking about the weather sayings. All of a sudden, the whole thing with March comes in like a lion and leaves like a lamb.
Mm-hmm.
So far, it's kind of like the Bengals free agency in March, I think. I think it's a good analogy there for Bengals free agency came in like a lion. And then and then Rutrow.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what to say or expect by these guys.
The ones who eat turn into the eating.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's rough. Let's get into it after this. All right, welcome back once again. We are running through the jungle. I'm your host here, Brandon Herrick, with your host, Tim Lyons, Justin Lacey, and a full crew with Chase Younts. How's it going, fellas?
What it do?
It's going good until I saw the intro and saw that one guy in it. We're gonna have to get that changed.
That one guy,
91.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah. There's going to be some serious edits going on.
It's an outdated intro.
It not only is it outdated, but listen, my boy Mod does great work. For those of you who don't know, Mod over at the Know It Alls helps out, does those for us, and I appreciate it. I will say this: I told him I wanted the catch on the sideline by T. Higgins against the Vikings, where he reaches the ball over the end zone, and he gave me a catch in the middle of the field against another team wearing number 85.
And that was 2020 during his rookie year too. So
I'm like that's
that
a
was
little
6 years ago.
That's a little kind of missed the mark, but beggars can't be choosy. I don't know. The other option I have,
like, it's not that hard to get updated film. Like,
it's not,
dude. Like, I am choosing.
The other option is that I have to do it. I don't want to do that.
Double A, do it. Yeah, we'll make
Double A in the house. We appreciate you rocking with us every week. The Bengals came in like a lion, went out like a scared little puppy. Who we got here?
Donalo. Mm-hmm.
Do you know Donalo?
I do. He's a friend of mine.
All right, friend of Tim's.
He's a way with words, I'll tell you that.
The whole NFL free agency was like one fart that turns into shit in your pants. Only a few teams made it out without making a mess or the situation worse. I like it.
I like it.
That's Shakespeare with the flatulence, man. That's pretty crazy.
Listen, man, it did start off good for the Bengals. We had where we talked about the needs. We did our Mount Rushmore of needs. And I had one edge, two safety. Tim had one safety, two edge. Chase had just defensive line, one safety, three. Justin had defensive line, one safety, two. So they start off by bam. We're going to address those right away, right?
Yeah.
A couple good signings. Boye Mafe and Brian Cook was, I thought, an outstanding. Probably the in my mind, the best they could have signed. Now, I wouldn't have stopped there because I would have rather had more flexibility, more depth in that backfield. And when you start looking at Minka Fitzpatrick getting traded for a 7th rounder, that'd have been nice.
Yeah.
Not have to play Jordan Battle in that position full time. Maybe move him around, maybe get some coaching from some veteran players. But listen, get Mafe for 3 for 60. You get Cook 3 for 40.25. I think they're both good signings, but then nothing.
What'd you say? I didn't hear you.
Yeah, no, I think you heard it all right. Then
Oh.
nothing. Then absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
The only thing we got after that is the re-signing of Reisner, Jalen Davis, and a couple of players off of the practice squad.
Yeah.
Am I missing something? Hello?
PTO time, man. That's what it was.
Is that what it got 2 signings done and everybody jumped on the plane to Cancun?
2 signings. It's a signing equals 1 day of PTO, apparently. I don't know. Unfortunately.
Oh, all right. But listen, Chase, I'll let you start off, man. You give me your favorite signing out of the 2 that we did.
Oh, easily Brian Cook. Just the stat seeing of that Geno Stone led the NFL in missed tackles of 23 just last season, and Brian Cook has had 22 missed tackles in the 4-year career that he's had with the Kansas City Chiefs. That alone is saying something, and I like the price we got him for too. I mean, 3 for 40. And I know we talk about like, oh, sometimes the Bengals try to get guys for cheap and everything else, but we got a quality player for, I think, a very good contract, to say the least. So I really enjoyed the Brian Cook signing. I think he instantly helps the back end. It makes it interesting to see, and just from listening to Al Golden, that they are going to rock with Jordan Battle. But again, I would like to see another signing in the secondary. But again, I mean, if this is PTO time, then I mean, we can't disturb them while they're on the golf course.
Fair point. Now, Tim, you and I have been back and forth because Mafe played in your backyard last year.
Yeah.
After diving into it a little bit, 40% success rate on his rushes. He got into a weird situation last year where they blitzed a lot with the Seahawks. So maybe he wasn't to be that dominant edge that, he's going to be asked to be basically in our offense. Yeah. What do you think about the Mafe side?
So I like Mafe. I think what he shows on film and on tape, and I know it wasn't a lot of productivity last year. He only played really 50% of snaps. He only started like 3 or 4 games. They did a lot of rotating on that defense. Look what that defense did. And I'm hoping that he can come in here and actually have that full-time job, or do a rotation as well with him and Miles Murphy, or him and Shamar Stewart, kind of thing. But what really impresses me about Mafe is, like, if you look at his highlights, and I shared them with you guys, I sent them to y'all. You look at his highlights, he was in the backfield causing havoc when it came to the run game, with his run defense, his IQ when it came to, reading that play and being on top of that running back right away. That's what really impressed me, because, for these last couple of years, all we've been seeing is that guy on that one edge that's now playing for the Baltimore Ravens. I don't know what his name is, but
doing that one thing.
All he did was, blitz the quarterback, and that was it. 0 run support. And I get it. I know Mafe's not this big, this big name like, Max Crosby and that one guy, and Myles Garrett, and Micah Parsons. I know he's not this big name, but I just believe that he can just bring a different dimension to the Cincinnati Bengals, not just with the pass rush game, or the pass rush game, but also the rush defense game. And he causes havoc. I know he doesn't have those, those sexy numbers of, 10 plus sacks a year. One year he had 9 sacks. This year he had 2, I think 4 the year before. I get it. But I think putting him in there more than 50% of the plays, starting him more games, I think there's that possibility of what Al Golden and that defense can do. But I'm just afraid that he's going to turn into another Joseph Osai, or come in, do a couple, games of flash, and then that's it. That's all we're going to get from him. or or these other guys that we've had in the past. But I'm not like, I give that grade, the Mafe signing, I give it a C. I'm not giving it a B plus or an A plus or anything. I give it a C because there's so much potential with Mafe.
So, I've heard a lot of rumbling out there about the concern is that he doesn't have the production. So it's like getting the free agent equivalent of a Shamar Stewart, which I understand. Right. I will tell you before I turn it over to you, Justin, the one thing I think that gave me a little more upside and hope for this is the Bengals have always had this guy's going to be 275 to 290 on our edge. He's got to set the edge. And we lose some dynamic playability from having those super athletes. Here's a guy 6'4", 260.
Yep.
Built like a freak, right? And he's fast. So that gives me some hope that maybe we're going to look at more of those dynamic type edge rushers as well as our standard set the edge guys. Justin, what did you like about these signings, these two signings? And then I'll go ahead and let you turn it on because I know that you've got some things to say about the front office going to sleep. So you take it what you liked and then torch them.
Well, what I liked is that they filled the holes that they needed. They got a safety of an upgrade from Geno Stone to Brian Cook. I mean, he was one of the better two safety prospects that was out there, and they went and landed him. I didn't think they were going to pull it off because it took a while when the legal tampering period opened up at noon. I don't think that the deal was even announced until a few hours later. So I was already worried. I knew that they needed to make a move, but they made the move. So, I mean, I was happy for that. And then as far as the Boye Mafe signing, that was also one that I was really ecstatic for. It started on the track record of being one of the greater periods of free agency to start the free agency period off. And the hope was you was going to complete the trifecta of getting a linebacker. I don't know what the rumors are, and honestly, I could care less about the hearsay, but you were in on Devin Lloyd and you had Leo Chenal. Those would have been two perfect signings that you could have gone either direction to complete what you did, and that would have been an A+ start to free agency. The contracts was not that bad. The contracts was actually doable, and you could have done more. But in now getting to the whole circumference aspect of why it's so quiet now, I just don't get it. And you see my ticker when it says just ain't happening is that a lot of cold water has been thrown on the signings. Whereas 2 days ago, we were absolutely excited that legal tampering period opened up. A few hours later, they made these two big moves. And then we were just refreshing social media, Twitter, no matter what, just waiting, itching. Are they going to be able to get another news, get another signing done? And then when it was announced that Devin Lloyd had signed with the Carolina Panthers, I think the hope went out the window from there. And then we went to bed, it was like, oh, damn it, we almost did it. But then the next day, we knew that we had to center our focus to get a linebacker because as I already stated 2 years ago, linebacker was always going to be the sneaky need 2 years ago. Now is a big need. You have no linebackers. And now the front office, it seemed like they're content with just rolling out there with Barrett Carter and Demetrius Knight, which I absolutely am just sickened by. And it's not that I don't think that those guys can get better, but you needed to add another piece to the room, one that has way more experience, not an Oren Burks level signing like you did last year, but somebody of a Leo Chenal's caliber or of a Devin Lloyd's caliber, hell, even somebody of a Demario Davis caliber, somebody in that older class are right there that can absolutely bring these young guys along and show them what's up and show them how to be a pro and actually play like a pro and know their assignments. And then in day two, you whiffed on every single linebacker free agent that was out there to the point you see the catalog list of names. I'm cool. I don't care for any of these. Maybe Bobby Okereke, maybe Bobby Wagner also might be intriguing because he's a household name still.
1 year. Teaching kids something.
But that's no different than when they did Josh Bynes in 2020, and I'm not interested in that. And quite frankly, I think that the Bengals are truly missing their window to make a crazy impact on defense. And yet we had to hear all off season long throughout so far that they're going to do whatever they can to pour resources in this defense. It just hasn't happened yet. So it's about panic time right now. So while I am happy for the two guys that signed, They still are not made official, technically speaking. So I'm sure they're going to wait till they fly into town at some point tomorrow or the next day or whatever, so they can have open media questions. But this is it's absurd because it's setting those guys up for failure because you're going to ask them to do way more instead of supporting them with the nucleus of teams players around them for them to be able to make the best versions of themselves. Sorry, but pairing Brian Cook with Jordan Battle sounds decent until Jordan Battle missed assignments, and then now you got to put Brian Cook in his spot to cover his assignments. And this is what we asked Jesse Bates to do, and his value had kind of tainted a little bit. So now I'm kind of like bummed out now.
Yeah, Leo Chanel in the linebacker spot was one that when you saw the numbers, 3-year deal making 8.25 on average per year. What are we doing?
Crazy.
Go get that done.
I know Tim was whispering it, but talking about, Bobby Wagner, he's on the back nine of his career. He is. Let's, we got to keep a spade. But at the same time, he also has aged pretty much like fine wine throughout the entire time of his career. I mean, I would like them to make that move over not making that move. But again, like Justin mentioned, I mean, with sitting there for 2 days with doing absolutely nothing, I mean, as Bengals fans, we all know that, the hope quickly drains out, and I would like for them to make some sort of a move because then it really gets you in a position where, okay, maybe we can go draft Caleb Downs if he's there at 10. I don't know if he is, but again, you get that best player available situation if you're able to go figure out linebacker, and then you can, kind of pick and choose from there, and you've got options. But when you're trying to draft for needs, man, I mean, that you already lost right there.
It's a horrible spot to be in.
Yeah, you're right. And the brass tacks to me here in free agency, they, like everybody has said this, great job. The 2 guys they signed definitely did a good job addressing needs and getting some of the best guys available at those 2 needs. The problem is this is a historically bad defense over the last 2 years. They have a lot more than 2 needs.
Mm-hmm.
I think even if it's a third good, like I don't know if I'd maybe you give Brian Cook a first tier, bottom of the first tier signing, but definitely top of the second tier signing to me. I think we got two tiers, like a second tier signings, which is great in free agency.
Yeah.
And if we would have got one more third tier and then just some depth piece here or there, I think everybody's happy. We roll out of bed, 2 tiers, 1 3 tier, and a depth piece. Like we can go about our day. But it just seemed like they checked out.
Well, but there's still guys sitting on free agency. I'm not saying let's not count out count them out, but. I don't know. Being Bengals fans has been rough, man. It's been rough. It's just, like we don't know what the hell they're doing, what they're thinking. We're being told one thing and then another thing happens or nothing happens at all. And that's the sad part of it, of the whole situation is it's just not panning out the way that we were hoping to, and I do want to see and the reason why I say Bobby Wagner is because he is that veteran. He'll come in there, help, Carter and what's his name? I'm losing my mind right now. I can't think of the other.
Knight.
Who's he? What's it? Knight Jr.
Knight, excuse me, and helping Knight out. I think he'd be a great addition to the team. He actually, I think he was like the top linebacker in run defense last year as well. And he's what, 35 years old? Yeah, he's what, 35 years old. It's Bobby Wagner, and I'm kind of a Bobby Wagner fan, but I'd still like to see him come. And with the addition of the Commanders bringing on Chanel, that kind of makes you wonder, is Bobby Wagner going to re-sign with Commanders for another year, or is he actually, out there on the market? I don't know. It would just be a nice addition, just to help mold our linebackers, and just see what happens. I don't want us to be going into the draft going, okay, we need this, a whole bunch of crap. And then next, we're getting maybe 2 starters in round 1 and 2, and then 3 through 7, we don't know. And I don't want to see that.
I mean, yeah.
Double A said Shaq Thompson too.
Yeah, he's out there. He's available too. Yeah, yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. If they would have went out there and truly attacked it, and my thought was, and I feel like we all had this thought, if they went out there and got an impact free agent at every level of the defense, you're talking about the interior defensive line, an edge rusher, a linebacker, and a safety. Corner, you're okay at corner, but you'll probably have to draft, some depth. But again, I think that's what we all thought was like, if they get a guy at every single level of this, of the defense, then we're looking a lot better than we were going into last year. So free agency, you get help, you get needs, and then you draft best player available, and then you're in interesting spots where you can draft, a David Bailey if he's there, Ruben Bain if he's there, Delane from LSU, the corner. I mean, again, like if you have that luxury, you're like, oh, we can go get we can get a shutdown corner on the outside as well and pair with DJ Turner and move Dax Hill to the slot. Then you're like, oh man, our defense looks great. But when you're not out there being active, then the inactive stuff really comes to shed the light, and then you're drafting needs.
Yeah, and also when you're addressing needs, you're not addressing depth. And I don't know if you've watched, but everybody in the NFL has injuries every year.
Yeah.
Like, so you got to be able to fill those in. And it's like, I don't know. If I was going to give the Cincinnati Bengals free agency thus far a grade, it would be an incomplete. You just didn't complete the assignment.
Yeah.
You just stopped. I don't know. Yeah. All right. I also would say this. Another thing I'd like about Bobby Wagner, Tim, to your point of signing him, is Bobby Wagner is going to go past Ray Lewis in all-time tackles this season. And you know what? I got a reason to be petty towards those Ravens. We'll talk about that after a quick break here to hear from our sponsors. We'll be right back after these messages. All right, we are back here running through the jungle, and Justin Lacey, just in time after the break, came back. For those of you listening on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast, please hit that thumbs up, like, subscribe. Justin's power went out. He froze. He's back. I'm surprised power. Listen, I'm surprised my power hasn't went out yet either. We've had some really horrific thunderstorms rolling through here. And shout out to my dogs for not going crazy during it.
You just jinxed it. Good job.
Whatever. We haven't heard from him in a while. But yeah, hit that like, that subscribe, that share. Get out there. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And, right before we went to break, I kind of alluded to being petty towards the Ravens. I think I got a good reason to. Trey Hendrickson signs for 4 years, $112 million. With bonuses could go up to 120, of which 60 million is guaranteed. Justin, welcome back. Give us your thoughts on Trey Hendrickson signing with the Ravens. And the reports that they wanted to sign Max and Trey.
Yeah, I'm not falling for that bullshit ass argument there from Eric DaCosta talking about they wanted to try to fill the pass rushing duo and
that's a CYA. That's a CYA moment.
He's just doing media PR like crazy. So I'm not buying none of that at all. As far as the Trey Hendrickson move, look, it was a quick pivot that they needed to make. For whatever reason, why the Max Crosby deal fell through, they had to quickly turn their eyes to Trey Hendrickson. So yeah, you can't sell me on the notion that you had your eyes on Trey this entire time. No, you didn't. Okay. But for Trey Hendrickson, this was good for him. Okay. Not only that he can get his revenge on the Bengals by signing with the division rival who needs pass rushing help as well, too. Not so much, but you know what I mean? They ain't got no premier name. Well, now they kind of do. He also gets the bag. The leverage has now been floated in his favor at high regard because of Max Crosby's deal falling through and that trade falling through, which opened up his market to be like, oh, man, you might actually get what you want now. Still didn't kind of get exactly what he wanted. I know he wanted to be hovering in the $30 to $40 million range there, but this is good for him. I still root for Trey Hendrickson as far as I still appreciate everything he did for us and whatnot, but you are up now and I got to root against you. And I'm actually here for the drama. But it just sucks because I would have appreciated the rivalry and the signing. I would have been like, all right, let's put our helmets on, let's strap up, let's go. It's war now. I would have appreciated that more had the Bengals done more. And for so far doing free agency to make you feel good at this point. But they haven't. And that's why Bengals fans are really just on a tirade right now, just because they rather have seen Trey Henderson go somewhere else but to a division rival, to where they know that the Bengals are not doing anything to compete and put a competing team out there. It's just going to be another one of those seasons where the Bengals are going to just have this aerial attack with Joe, Jamar, and T and nothing else. Okay. And for Trey Hendrickson, I think Baltimore's the perfect spot for him. He doesn't, yes, for all the criticism about him not be offering any run support. Well, he ain't going to have to really worry about that because Nnamdi Madubuike is right there. They got the big boy, Travis Jones is right there. Mike Green is going to rush on the opposite side of him, who I still liked coming out of the draft last year. And then you got Trey Hendrickson, who is your situational pass rusher that you can bring in like he usually is, rush from the same side, whether he can't rotate in and out. Yeah. Oh, and guess what?
You're still row right behind him.
You're still going to be doing blitz and presser packages with Kyle Van Noy. You still got Kyle Hamilton. You got Roquan Smith, who can plug the middle as well. You also got Malachi Starks in the back end of the safety. Oh, and they'll still run some corner blitzes here with Nate Wiggins. That defense has always been loaded. Trey Hendrickson was going from a team where it was just him and then everybody else to now he's a part of a band now. So honestly, it's perfect for him. I just hate it that it's with the Ravens, sure. But you know what? He got to look out for him, and he's been hoping and praying that he get a deal for his financial security, and he got it. But as far as the Ravens, you know what? Shame on them because there were other teams that was in the mix to sign Trey, and the Ravens weren't, whether they want to say they were or not, that they were trying so hard to be able to.
I was going to Dallas.
I was thinking of the Colts. I was thinking that the Eagles probably involved in this as well, too. I don't know if Dallas was there. Their name was floating around there. Buffalo even. There were opportunities in Tampa Bay. I'll even throw them out there as well, too. There were teams that really showed true, genuine interest and wanted to meet Trey Hendrickson. And basically, they just get to a place where, like, the Bengals were. But then out of desperation, Baltimore just had to fly in on this desperate cloud just to try to get him signed. And then, honestly, just shame on them for just being able to throw this in crazy monkey wrench that caused a ripple effect throughout the entire NFL. Where now they can't really be trusted to do deals with in the future. But they got a lot of good players, man. And when you take the emotions out of it, look, they had to be cautious from the trade that they did do, even though, honestly, I wish Trey Henderson would never signed it because it would have he bailed them out from losing 2 first-round picks, and they have no answers to signing. They probably would have had to overpay for like a Caleb Chase on or something. But look, Trey Henderson, man, look, I'm sure you're going to probably do your thing in Baltimore. You're definitely not going to get any ruin support from the jungle, but I still think that you were a hell of a player here, but it's sad that you went out now. It sucks that you went out now.
The thing that chaps my ass about it was all the leaked information from last year was that they were offering 4 years at $28 million to $30 million a year. That was the reports, and they will only guarantee 2 years, and he wanted at least half of the third year guaranteed. And what does he end up signing? With a divisional foe? $28 million a year over 4 years with half of it guaranteed. Like, what the hell? That's the part that pisses me off. KP from KC, thanks for rocking with us. He said, we got nothing for Bates or Hendrickson. No. See, that's the thing. We tried to trade Hendrickson last year, and no one wanted to give up a first. His camp was out there. His camp was out there trying to – we wanted an early second or any first. And his camp was out there trying to get it and couldn't find it and couldn't get it done. So if you fast forward by letting him sign, we're going to probably get a third-round pick out of that, compensatory pick. So it's the same thing if we would have done the work ourselves. It's probably what we would have ended up getting anyway.
Yeah.
So,
and also I want to caution as far as like saying, because we've talked ad nauseum about this last week and probably weeks before about the whole you should have gotten something for Trey when you had the chance. Dude, they tried and they didn't.
They did.
They should have probably did it last year, but when the trade deadline came and went, they had no leverage at all. And at that point, you're trying to pull off a tag and trade, dude, that was asinine to even make those comments. And for fans that wanted that, was just trying to have their cake and eat it too. You had no leverage. He was going to walk in free agency, and you had to deal with this with a situational fact that he could go and sign with a division foe. I made that mention on this show, and look what happened. He signed with a division foe. You got to deal with it. It is what it is. Just move. Yeah. It's time to be able to, for the Bengals to really just get their shit together and move on. I mean, they already moved. Technically, they already moved on from trade, but get their shit together. I mean, like, go get some guys. Answer.
You're saying, hey, trade. KP from KC's out there. Like, forget the comp picks. We need players now. I mean, you go look at it. Like, Kyler Murray just got cut. No one wanted to give up anything for him. Like, no one wanted to give up anything for Trey. Like, there wasn't something out there to get for it that was going to be a suitable piece. Chase, like, what do you give the Ravens as far as their offseason kind of grade here? They've got Cheeto re-signed 1 for $5. They got John Simpson, a guard from the Jets, 3 years for $30 million. They got Trey. They didn't do a whole lot other than a couple of re-signings for a year here, a year there that they kept.
A safety too from the Patriots.
I give him a B. I give him a solid B. When we turn it back, I'm gonna look at it from 3 different avenues. Okay, the Trey Hendrickson avenue. So obviously Trey's going out there trying to get his money and trying to find another place to play. So my opinion on Trey, I respect him for what he has done in Cincinnati for 5 years. I respect that he is a man of God. Okay, I respect those 2 things about him. What I was really turned off by last year was the handling of his injury behind the scenes. I was really turned off by that entire thing. He was hurt, don't get me wrong, but I think the handling of that whole thing down the stretch was bad. Again, I know the Bengals weren't good, but it wasn't. I don't know. That something just sits the wrong way with me. On the Bengals side of things, the Bengals tried to trade him. They didn't get anything for him. It is what it is. We offered that deal for him, 3 for $95, I believe is what it was. And then obviously he signs for the 4 for $112. It's the guaranteed money and everything else being, the big factor there. The thing that makes me upset, just like Justin, I think all of us, is the fact of, okay, Trey Hendrickson signed with the Ravens, but what the hell are we doing about it? We're not doing anything about it. That's the thing that gets me the most, is not having any sort of an answer. We're just sitting back and nothing's happened. On the side of the Ravens, I think they have moved into the spot of the team I hate the most. Truly. I think they've moved in that spot, and Pittsburgh's held that for the longest time. I dislike the Pittsburgh Steelers to my core. I think the Ravens have narrowly edged that spot. And I think, I respect the Ravens for trying to go out there and get players to try to make their team better and everything else. But I think I don't like their fan base. I don't like, I don't like what they're about. I don't like the whole situation with that Max Crosby thing yesterday. If you knew that he wasn't going to pass a physical after knowing that he had surgery and everything else, and it's smart, I guess, but then again, it's just like, what was that? You bring him in, physical, doesn't happen, doesn't go well. You get the 2 first-round picks back, then you save at least $7 or $8 million on a pass rusher in that regard, and they just so happen to reach out to Trey Hendrickson. I think that's pretty shady. That's shady business right there.
They said we were going to sign him anyway. I'm like, where in the hell are you getting all this money?
No, not all money is good money. But again, Trey Hendrickson going to the op, and that's good for him in that regard, in terms of get a redemption arc and everything else. But guess what? Just like Justin said, you are not going to be hearing a single cheer for Trey Hendrickson the first time he comes back into the jungle. And I can tell you that right now. I will be at that game, and I will be booing my ass off in terms of Trey Hendrickson, man. I'm going to stop there.
Listen, as far as Baltimore goes, I'm going to give you my complete list from A to Z of things that I like about Baltimore. Pit beef,
okay.
Number 1. Number 2, crab cakes. Number 3, Camden Yards. End of list. Tim, give me your 2 cents on the Ravens signing Trey, and we'll get on here. We'll just give grades out. I'll go through the other 2 people, or the other 2 teams in the division, and we'll just go through who they got and what their grade is.
Yeah. So last week, Justin and I talked about it, about Trey Hendrickson. And I said that was the last time I'm talking about Trey Hendrickson.
Uh-oh.
But after what has transpired, one, I hope Trey Hendrickson steps on a freaking Lego. Two, if I ever see the Baltimore Ravens GM, I'm going to kick him in his balls.
Sack.
It's just, the thing is this move that they did was so shady. And I'm not going to say it was completely on the Baltimore Ravens, but I'm also say Trey Hendrickson. I have respect for the man's game. I have respect that, yes, this is a business. I respect his belief in God. But what he did here was sadistic. And I don't care what anybody says. And of course, the media and all you boohoo fans and all you Bengals haters out there are going to blame, how the Bengals handled this. We've been dealing with this bullshit for years with Trey Hendrickson. Honestly, if you didn't like the contract that you signed, then you shouldn't have signed it. That's on your representative. That's your representative's fault. Then when the Cincinnati Bengals come at you with a 3-year, $96-95 million contract with X, Y, and Z and all this other shit, and then you go and sign for less money with the Baltimore Ravens. Like I said, though, I respect Trey Hendrickson's game, but as a man, I do not respect how he did all of this. He's been nothing but drama. He's been nothing but drama for the Cincinnati Bengals. And I'm not saying that the front office gets a pass, because the front office this front office will never get a pass. Period. As many years as we've all been, like we have probably 100 years of Cincinnati Bengals fandom here on this panel right now. The Bengals will never get a pass. The front office will never get a pass of what they've done in the past, the present, and in the future. But I'm not mad that Trey Hendrickson got his bag, but it's how he did it and where he went. That's what I'm pissed off about. And there's a part of me that, I was talking to my wife about the whole Max Crosby situation last night. Get his picture off the mother screen.
Listen,
he's making me angry.
Picture here from the Cincinnati Bengals site of Trey Hendrickson signing his extension. I think this was in 2023. Signed his extension that was added an extra year, good through 2025. I think it was 10 months after this photo was taken. He was in contract dispute again. You just signed the contract, bro. Let the ink dry.
Yeah, well, get his ass off my screen. But I'm just, like I was talking to Heather, my wife, about the whole.
Agrees with you.
Yeah, I was talking about with the Ravens and the Max Crosby situation, and it was kind of dirty how the Ravens handled that too. Just like Chase and Justice said, and you said, it's like, come on, you knew he had an injury, you knew he had surgery. It was kind of dirty. It was kind of dirty on their part as well.
It was.
And I wish the best. Yeah, and I wish the best for Max. I love Max. He is all gas and no freaking break. And I'm just praying to the football gods, praying to Jesus that the Bengals front office grabs their balls between their legs and they say, hey, Raiders, we'll send you a first and a second for Max Crosby. Send his ass over here. And we get our revenge.
Man,
but
that'd be good. God, I'm petty for
I'd
that.
be dying. I would be dying laughing. Like I would die laughing. And we know it's not going to happen. But for one thing is Brandon, I know we say on here, hope is not a strategy, but I'm hoping for my sanity that it happens.
I think petty is a strategy though, Tim. I like that.
That's true.
I like
That's
that.
True.
All right, guys. I'm going to give you a quick rundown here. From the NFL.com of what the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers have done here. And just tell me, off season, did you give them a grade? A, B, C, D, F. Cleveland Browns signed a 1-year deal with Jack Stahl, tight end. Offensive tackle Titus Howard acquired in a trade with the Texans for a 5th-round pick, and then they extended him for 3 years, $63 million. Offensive guard Tevin Jenkins re-signed. Offensive guard Zion Johnson signs from, I believe, the Jets, if I'm not mistaken. 3 years for $49.5 million. They get a center. Actually, the centers from the Packers. Elgton Jenkins, 2-year, $24 million. Yep.
That's a good addition.
And then linebacker Quincy Williams signs 2 years, $13 million deal. So, Justin, what say you? Give them a grade there. They obviously addressed offensive line, so that was good for them.
I'll give them a B+. And honestly, I don't even mind if anybody says give them an A too, just because honestly they addressed their needs. They had a lot of holes on the O-line, a lot of guys that were aging, released, cap casualties, whatever you name it. They needed a whole new O-line, and they addressed it all in one offseason. And I'm very hyper jealous about that because the Bengals had 10 years where O-line play was just complete ass until now. And yet the Browns, who need to remake their their entire offseason their entire O-line, just did it in just a few moves in the trade.
In 2 days.
So I give them an A for that part. For the Quincy Williams one, I think they just got a name. This is more or less their Devin Bush replacement, who was a buy low, sell high stock for them anyway. So kudos to them. I think Quincy Williams falling into that same category, but it could have been an obvious upgrade for them too, to get somebody with a little bit more production. Quincy Williams has kind of fell out of favor in many different places. They certainly did. You know, there were other names that I would have liked that they could have gotten, that they could have gotten for almost that similar price range that probably would have helped them stay on the field. They got to find a longer term answer at some point down the road, even though I know linebackers really not really a need for them. They just need to just replace the value that they lost with Devin Bush signing with the Bears in free agency, because they don't know what's going to happen with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, JOK. I don't think he's going to come back anytime soon. So that's why they needed to really supplant that. They still got Carson Schwarzenegger, who just won Rookie of the Year for defense.
Great player.
They got so many good pieces on defense, periods. But overall, I'll give them a B+ for their signing so far.
All right, Chase, what grade do you give them?
I'd roll B+. Pretty much the exact same thing Justin said. They reworked their entire offensive line. They lost some good pieces off their offensive line, but went out there and attacked their needs just like that. And again, I mean, the defense doesn't have many holes. I mean, obviously, Myles Garrett can fill a lot of them, but again, the necessary holes that are visible, they tried to fill them a little bit here and there. And the draft's coming up, so you got guys that they were able to draft last year. Why not do it again this year? So I give them a B+. I think they did a good job in terms of whoever the quarterback is back there next year.
You guys almost talked me into that B+. I'm going to tell you, we're just going to go around the horn. We'll start different places each time. I'm going to go solid B. I wish I want one playmaker. I want one wide receiver or something over there, depth piece at running back, something on that just a playmaker. But good overall. And Tim's the only one old enough to know me like this, but I respect their volume shooting. You know what I mean? There's a lot of names on that list. Nice job. Tim, Cleveland Browns, give them a grade.
You know, I give them an A+ for their offensive line upgrades, or their fulfillments. I won't say upgrades, but fulfillments. But when it comes to their defense, I'm gonna give them probably a C-, maybe a D, because they let Devin Bush walk out the door. I think that was a big mistake on their end, and I know there's a lot of Cleveland Browns fans out there that are pissed that they let Devin Bush walk out the door. But like Williams, he's really, just a name, but like Justin said, but I like their offensive line upgrades. Defensive wise, just because they let Devin Bush out the door, that just gives you a D. But I'm gonna tell you this right now, though, is just real quick. If they go for another quarterback in this offseason, that A is going to turn into a damn C in a quick
hilarious if they do. I couldn't even imagine. And here, shout out to Devin Bush, really turning his career around, because he got ran out of Pittsburgh.
He did.
So, and now he cashed in 3 years, $30 million going over to Oakland. Chase, we'll start this one off with you. Your favorite team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. They signed running back Rico Dowdell to 2 years, $12.25 million. They acquired
what was his name again?
Rico Dowdell.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Okay.
Michael Pittman Jr. Acquired in a pick swap. Not much of anything. Signed 3 years, $59 million. Let's see. Jack Driscoll, tackle, signed for a 1-year deal. Defensive lineman Cam Hayward added a 2-year extension and just basically moved a bunch of money around. Defensive lineman, no. Adameo?
Yeah, I think that's what his name is.
Azizi Onomatopoeia, I believe it is. How do you pronounce that? I can't do that. Anyway,
I gotta look at it.
Cole Holcomb re-signs for 1 year, $5 million. Jamal Dean comes up from Tampa Bay, 3 years, $36.75. Asante Samuel Jr. re-signs for 1 year, $4 million. And they also signed safety Darnell Savage to a 1-year deal. What's your grade for them? Talk about volume shooting. Go Steelers.
A-. I think they did a pretty good job. I mean, they went after Rico Dowdell and got him. Then you go on ahead, fix some stuff on the, re-sign some people on the defense, but getting Michael Pittman for a 7th-round pick. I mean, that was just really random. But then you got him and DK Metcalf on the outside, two bigger receivers. DK Metcalf can obviously fly, as a big guy, but then Michael Pittman is, he's no slouch at receiver. I mean, he's a guy that's 800-900 yards a season, and a very good number 2 option for whoever their quarterback is next year. So I mean, I think the Steelers did a lot of things well in just the first couple of days of free agency. I think they filled some holes in where I think they can go out of best player available in the draft.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I like Dean and Samuel Jr. I thought played pretty well for him. I'm not a big JPJ guy. I think he doesn't give up a lot of touchdowns because he does a lot of holding. But I like the defensive backs they added there. And yeah, Michael Pittman, good route runner, good hands. I like that for him.
What did they get Dowdle for again? Was it 2 years, 12?
2 years, 12.25.
That's a steal. He had 1,000 yards this year. Was on a playoff team for the Panthers. That's an awesome signing for them.
Great contract for us. So I'm right there with you. This is an A- to me too. Tim, what grade are you giving the Steelers?
I give them a B+, just because I don't like them. It was a great. It was a good addition for Pittman. Dean. Dean's. I'm not gonna say he's a fabulous lockdown corner. He's just a solid mid cornerback. But with his addition is great. Dowdle, of course, he was a stud last year. But I think they're really excited about Pittman coming over there. But it really doesn't matter if you have DK and Pittman because you have no quarterback. But I'll give him a B-. All
right, Justin, what say you?
I'm gonna give them an A. I think they're quietly flying under the radar again in another offseason where they'll make some solid moves and you don't really know about them because you're still wondering about who the hell is their quarterback going to be until you actually see them play and be like, oh, they signed that guy? They signed that? Oh, they signed that? Yeah. Last season, okay, they traded away Minkah Fitzpatrick for an aging, washed-up Jalen Ramsey, and I was like, nah, that's not going to cut it. Well, since they moved him back over to safety, Jalen Ramsey, and they decided to say, like, you know what? We kind of whiffed on this Darius Slay signing, so we just needed a solid corner that kind of has an appropriate age range, and that was Jamel Dean. I really like that signing for them. They're not asking to be a lockdown corner, but they need stability at that position opposite JPJ, just because the whole overall performance of the defense, it's like the Sigmund Freud theory. They're great as a whole instead of the individual sum of its parts. I do also really appreciate the Rico Dowdell signing just because it's in this day and age where everybody's telling you forget the hell about running backs, go draft one or whatnot. Rico Dowdle was a steal for them to pair along with, what's his name, Jalen Warren. And they can still potentially draft one too. And depending on who their quarterback is going to be, they have two thunder and lightning kind of combos that you're not going to really hear about until it's later in the year, and then you're going to be like, oh, I forgot Pittsburgh did sign that guy. So yeah, man, I think that they filled their needs. So far, they didn't really have much outside of just they need a quarterback. We're not going to really appreciate the value of those signings until they actually get a quarterback into the fold. But I'm not going to be blinded by the need of their quarterback position to be stabilized for them to appreciate what they've done so far. So, yeah, I'll give them an A. The Michael Pittman thing, I didn't include that because that was more of a trade before it all started. But that was a good under-the-radar moving in. They needed a wide receiver too. You still got Calvin Austin out there that they may bring back. And then now you got DK Metcalf, Calvin Austin, and Michael Pittman Jr. How can you not like that trio right there?
Yeah.
I mean, that would be when you talk about a salary cap over $300 million, they got Rico Dowdle for, I mean, couch cushion change. Yeah.
Yeah.
$6 million a year is nothing. That's a great pickup in my mind. Great pickup. And I love the 2-year. It's like you said, they'll probably draft a running back this year. Probably stretch for somebody in that 4th, 5th, 6th round, and then try to build depth, and then they look good going forward. So the last thing I want to do here, and then we'll get going. It can be a team that you thought did great. It can be a single signing that you thought was great. It can be a single signing that you laugh at, scoff at, and hate. I don't mind. Justin, we left off with you. I'm going to let you start it.
I like everything that the Washington Commanders have done. They are having the dream offseason that I wish that the Cincinnati Bengals would have, with a team that has a bottom 5 ranked defense going into last year, statistical rankings wise. They were doubling up at positions. They were winning bidding wars with guys, and they landed free agents like it's nothing. And in fact, I think if I were to refresh my Twitter, they probably signed another free agent at this point. Who knows? I'm not a fan of the Dafe Owe signing. I think that bag was the 4-year, $100 million deal. It's a little bit too rich for my blood. But they doubled down on that and got another guy in Caleb on Chason, and they keep on adding. So they're always going to not be depleted of resources in case one signing doesn't work out. And we know with large signings, I think that they may have included a void year or some incentives in there where some sort of notes they can get out from underneath that contract. But how can you not appreciate what the Commanders are doing, man? They're my pick of of the free agency period so far that I like what they're doing.
OA is 4 years, $100 million, 68 guaranteed.
Damn.
Yeah, they have between trade and free agent signing, 15 are either re-signed or acquired.
Wow.
So good off season for them. Chase, what's the splash move here for you?
Well, I would go with 2 teams actually, in shorter regards. I like what the Titans have done in terms of really investing in a lot of different players.
I know you and I both liked Wan'Dale Robinson.
And Wan'Dale Robinson, that being a big one, especially for Cam Ward. I think that is going to become a very fun duo in the league. And I mean, again, people really took their eyes off of Cam Ward because he played for the Titans and they weren't good last year and their head coach got fired and everything else. Just keep an eye on them, okay? Again, you always have that team that goes from worst to first. There's still a draft that comes up. There's still free agency that we're only 2 days in. So
they spent over $100 million on 2 corners.
Yeah. So again, they've gone out and spent that money. And then the other team that I really like, and I think I'm going to be very intrigued watching this year, is the New York Giants. They went out and got Isaiah Likely at tight end, brought him over from Baltimore, and then the Tremaine Edmonds signing to put at linebacker. We know the Giants defense is having such a great front. You go through Dexter Lawrence, they drafted Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau. I'm probably missing somebody else. Was Brian Burns still there? Right, Brian Burns. Yeah,
Brian Burns is still there.
Brian Burns still there. So they have a great defensive line. You add a linebacker in Tremaine Edmonds, and then you add another piece on offense after having Jackson Dart, who was fun as heck to watch at quarterback last year. Cam Scatterboo at running back, bringing him back, and then they have some other depth pieces. Malik Neighbors coming off of injury as well, and having a viable threat to work the middle of the field and Isaiah Likely, they've got a guy at every single position on offense where they can trust. And, then you see what happens in the draft for them. So I think the Giants and the Titans are two teams that weren't great last year that are invested with people that have been head coaches before that are trying to make amends meet the second time around.
Tim, what caught your eye, good, bad, or ugly during the trading and free agent signing so far?
So, I've been talking with my mother-in-law a lot because she really doesn't pay attention to these free agencies, and she's a huge Seahawks fan. And my question is, what the hell are the Seahawks doing? You let Kenneth Walker, the Super Bowl MVP, walk to Kansas City. You let Kobe Bryant walk his ass to the Chicago Bears.
Oh, man, $15 million a year for Walker, though.
Then you got Mafe, who comes to Cincinnati, and you got Tyreek Woolen going to the Philadelphia Eagles.
That was the one that surprised me most.
And I understand that, they were trying to really get rid of Reek last year. Honestly, they were trying to get rid of him because his coverage, when he was a rookie, that dude was a dog. And then he just kind of fell, so I kind of understand that. But other than that, that's what really shocked the hell out of me of, you go from Super Bowl champions and then you're getting rid of some key players, like Kenneth Walker and Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was in the top for corners in PFF grades, dude. He was a great damn corner. And, you got Mafe, who, we already talked about him. But, that was my conversation I was having with my mother-in-law. I was like, what are they thinking? What are they doing?
Well, did you guys discuss the list of players that they added so far, acquired? Hold on, let me go through it. Oh, that's a re-sign.
Yeah, it's a re-sign.
Here's who they acquired. Yep, no, I'm done. That's it. Yeah. They re-signed 3 guys.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I'm and don't get me wrong, and I am, because I am, everybody knows, you guys watch the show. I live in Seattle. I pay attention to Seattle Seahawks football. My mother-in-law is a die-hard Seahawks fan, loves the Seahawks to death.
She's a 12.
Yeah, she is a 12. I root for them when they're not playing against the Bengals, but I look at that team and I'm going, what are you guys doing? And that was actually another concern, Brandon, was Shaheed. Were they going to be able to re-sign Shaheed? My father-in-law goes, well, did they sign that one guy? I was like, he goes, that wide receiver. I said, oh, Shaheed? And at that time, they didn't re-sign him yet. And then they did that 3-year deal with him later on in the day. But that's one of my things is, and I understand that the Seahawks, they're up for sale right now. And I don't know if that has to do with any of this that's going on, or they just have a different plan of what they're going to do. Maybe in a couple, days to come, maybe they have some plans, what drafting, what their war room's going to look like during the draft. But as of right now, I'm going, what are you guys doing? That was my big shocker.
They still got to pay JSN too, so I think they kind of have to clear some money out for him. But I do agree though. There's probably, there might be a move or two that could be made in the next couple of days, but they still have to think about JSN in terms of what the receiver market's going to look like the next year.
We'll still have some trickling around here.
Well, you're already looking at paying JSN over $40 million a year.
Oh yeah, easy.
That's no doubt.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, Alec Pierce is making $30 million a year, so that makes these contracts look fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But here's also the thing about Seattle. What's the rush? You just won a Super Bowl, and you have no pressure on your back at all.
They're on a yacht, Tim. Leave them alone.
And on top of that, they still have a pretty good enough, top-heavy enough roster to the point where they can make some bargain basement signings here and there or whatnot, and just get by with that in the draft, and that'll be fine. And speaking of the Commanders, because I know I said that they were the team that I picked that had the best.
The Rams are coming for them, though.
Yeah, they just signed Charles Omenihu too.
Who did?
Just as of a half an hour ago, from what I'm looking on my phone now.
The Commanders did.
The Commanders.
Good grief!
And they also got Leo Chanel too, who I also wanted. So I forgot he went there.
Mhm.
So I'm like, the Commanders are just knocking it out of the park.
Yes, they are.
So listen, the Jets have been very active, and I like some of their signings, and that doesn't matter. They're still the Jets. I'll give you a team I liked. A few of their sides I think make a big impact with a few players. I think the Bills re-signing Dawson Knox for 3 years, getting DJ Moore in a trade with the Bears. That's a big need for them.
Yep.
And then signing Bradley Chubb to 3 years, $43 million. If they get any kind of production out of him, I think that could be some nice moves for the Bills, who are a pretty close team. So that could be a needle mover. Yep. And listen, this is one I've been saying. I said this last year when the Colts got off to a 7-0 start. Your boy went on immediately. What's their over under and wins at? Let's bet the under. We're hammering the under. We hammered the under. I know the flag behind me says hammer the over. I hammered the under because I don't believe in Danny Dimes. You give him 2 years, $88 million, bonused up to $100 million. Whew. That's his second terrible contract someone's given him.
Mm-hmm.
He's not that guy. He had a 6-game run. Stop it. We know who this guy is. We know who he is. He's not. This is not a Renaissance man. It's going to be a fantastic resurgence. I think the Colts let their best wide receiver walk, overpaid their another wide receiver, and now have grossly overpaid a quarterback and have kind of linked themselves to mediocrity for 2 more years.
It makes Sam Darnold's contract even better. It does. Look at Sam Darnold, $35 million a year, and now you got Daniel Jones for $44. I didn't mean to cut you off, Justin, but again, look at that $10 million difference. Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And they signed and they gave away. They traded for Sauce Gardner and gave away 2 first-round picks. So now they need to kind of recoup some of that draft capital back. So kind of understands why you had to trade away Michael Pittman Jr. And because I was like, why?
But that was only for a pick swap, a late round pick swap, dude. That doesn't help him worth.
It doesn't help him at all. Like there's no true value in that, which is why I think that they were trying to go all in on a guy like a Trey Henderson, so that way it can make some of their moves look like they were doing something with themselves. But I'm not really all that impressed with the Colts offseason either. Last year and this season, this offseason so far too.
Yeah, I agree. All right, party shots, Tim. What you got, my man? Say goodbye to everybody and let us know what your last thoughts are on the way out.
Thanks for joining Running Through the Jungle, guys. Make sure you like, you subscribe, you share with your friends. Make sure you go over to Cut to the Chase podcast and go give him a like, a subscribe, do all that stuff. Other than that, who dey?
Dig it. Justin? What you got?
Yeah, likewise, man. I'm still bummed out. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
The Bengals are bumming me out, and they're gonna probably bumming me out when draft time comes around. I'm not just going to throw that out there right now, but still, thank you guys for tuning in. Always appreciate it.
Chase, tell the folks what you got going on and give them a final shout out.
Yeah, like and subscribe to Run Into the Jungle. Like and subscribe to my page. I might post something sometime. I don't know, but again, I think it's kind of crazy looking at the teams that are really meaning business, like the Ravens, the Bills, the Chiefs, even the Cowboys. That'll open up, restructure their quarterbacks deals and open up $40 million in cap space. But a certain team 2 blocks down from my apartment doesn't know what that is. So frustrated, just like Justin.
Speaking of your apartment, anybody with a strong back in Cincinnati area got some extra boxes, hit up your boy Chase in the chat here. He's gonna need some help moving.
I got a nice spot here if anyone wants to move in afterwards, and then with the suffering and potential suffering that goes years down the road. Nice spot though. So remodel floor.
Listen, man, KP and Double A, we appreciate you guys rocking with us in the show. Your comments are greatly appreciated. Keep us on our toes over there. We're in the off season, so we're going to be a little dormant over the next few weeks. I'm actually traveling for work. Got a lot of things going on these days. So we're going to pop in here with some shorts here and there. So keep your eye on the channel, get those notifications, those alerts. We'll pop in with some shorts, especially if the Bengals get off their ass and sign somebody. That would be a beautiful thing. Other than that, we're going to break until after Easter. So have a great Easter. If we don't talk to you before then, some of us will jump on, some of us won't. We don't know, with some shorts here and there. Keep your eyes peeled, and then we'll be back the Wednesday after Easter. I believe it's the April 8th, something like that. 8th, 9th. Look, keep an eye out for us. But either way, we'll be back then. We'll be doing some shorts. We'll keep you abreast of what's going on in the Cincinnati Bengals world and our thoughts on it, good, bad, or ugly, for sure. We appreciate you rocking with us. Join us back in April as we are running through the jungle.